Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Athletic Studio Live podcast. So we've rebranded. I'm one of your hosts, Gordon Chommanivong, and we have a special guest slash co-host today. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, I'm Hollie Bryan.
Yeah, so Holly is one of our senior trainers and sports nutritionists at Athletic Studio, the studio, also with Athletic Studio Live, the app. And she's a gun trainer. Think you're probably one of the first employees at Athletic Studio.
Yeah,
you're the first.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah. But it's also her first time doing any type of podcasting. So guys, if you're listening, just take it easy. Holly, how do you feel?
I'm a bit nervy, but I think should be fine. We'll see how we go.
All right. This episode, we're actually going to leverage Holly's expertise because, a lot of people will probably see you on the Instagram account, training, lifting heavy weights, giving out some very good advice, but they probably have no idea who you are except for like your own clients. So, but you've been Athletic Studio's secret weapon. We're going to, I guess, just reveal that secret weapon basically. So Holly, this episode is all about you, from your gym rookie to what you're able to do now. You ready to go?
Yeah, I think so. So just a bit of a rundown of
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, Holly, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into fitness.
Yeah, so I guess fitness has always been a big part of my life growing up. I've always danced professionally growing up as a kid. And then that's the whole reason I moved to Melbourne originally, was to just study that full time. And it was a pretty physical 2 years. It was dancing all day. We did do training in the gym, Pilates, yoga. We swam every week. It's probably one of the fittest I've ever been, to be honest. But that was like a natural progression into the fitness space. As soon as I finished the course, I was just auditioning for jobs and I started studying my certs on the side of that. In that period, obviously COVID lockdown and everything hit. So the dancing part of it took a massive toll. And then that's where I just grew into the love of fitness in the gym.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So how do you make that decision though from dancing to I want to study fitness?
I had already finished my dance course per se. So I was only really dancing a little bit on the side. So I had a lot of free time. So I think I've always dance taught growing up. I studied my certificate in dance teaching throughout high school. I think, fitness, it was the next natural progression for me.
Yeah. And you've been a PT for maybe four?
Yeah, 4 years, 4 and a bit years.
Yeah, you've achieved quite a fair bit. For the people that are listening, what are your achievements so far?
I think I've been very lucky where I have been the last few years, at the studio. You've obviously given me lots of good opportunities working here, and I'm very lucky. A lot of my clients are super great to work with. I've had some great results, whether that be fat loss, muscle gain, strength, whatever their goal is, working in the studio. And then, I trained one of our coaches in the studio, Sam, through a bodybuilding comp, which was pretty exciting. First time doing that as well, which was another big learning experience. But
we don't have to dull that one down. She's the Australian champion. You trained Sam to become an Australian champion.
Yeah, she killed it.
So that's a pretty big achievement. So you're an Australian champion coach, pretty much.
Yes, I guess you could say. Yeah,
yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. All right. When people jump onto your Instagram account or Athletic Studio or Athletic Studio Live's Instagram account, they're going to see you lifting, pretty advanced lifts, quite confident with your training. A lot of our audience would be probably in their early stages of lifting or intermediate as well. So I guess what did the early days of fitness look like to you? How did you get from there to becoming confident with your training?
Yeah.
Because you just did dancing, right?
Yeah, so at the start, when I first started training in the gym, I was doing what most people, I think, do in the beginning is you go do 20, 30 minutes on a cardio machine and then finish the workout with a bit of HIIT and high intensity stuff. It wasn't until I started training with the coach myself. He literally taught me most things that I know now, and it was the best thing I ever did. So I learned compound lifts, squats, deadlifts, bench, all that, training properly, training with intensity, proper programming, and how to fuel my workouts as well. So that completely changed my way of training in the beginning, going from high intensity cardio stuff to proper programming and nutrition.
What was a breakthrough to go from to actually decide that you want to work with a personal trainer or a coach? Because I'm assuming you probably would have been in your early 20s when you made that decision.
Yeah. I think deep down I always wanted to work with a coach, but when I was dancing, my priorities were different. And it was during that time when I was studying my certificates to be a personal trainer myself. So I figured I'm not going to know how to be the best coach I can be without having a coach myself. So
yeah, I think you did things the right way. There are a lot of personal trainers and coaches out there who they just try and wing it themselves without the guidance. Early in my career, I did the exact same thing as you. So, okay, I guess the quickest way to learn how to do things is I might as well just get a coach for myself, and then you just implement and copy. I wouldn't say like implement, copy, or get inspiration to apply similar things
use
with
what
clients.
you learned from them and apply it to your own clients in your own way.
And talk to us about, I guess, maybe on those early days, what was your experience like in a gym environment before you had a coach? Maybe what were some of the myths that you fell for? And then, your coach, Mitch, after training with him, you're like, oh shit, I've been doing things completely incorrect here.
Well, one of the biggest myths I would have learned early stages training with a coach would have definitely been lifting weights doesn't make you bulky, especially as a female. Coming out of that dancing world, you were just trained to be as skinny and as lean as possible. There was nothing ever taught around proper nutrition and stuff on how to get that way either. So I think, that was the biggest myth that hit me in the early stages of training.
That's why you probably always stuck to the classes and the cardio.
100%, yeah. Pilates, high intensity stuff, just sweaty workouts.
Yeah.
Whereas, in the last 4 years, I've completely changed the way I've trained completely.
Did you notice a difference to your energy levels, your confidence in your strength now that you do apply strength training?
Yeah, confidence and strength is a massive one. Like at the start, I was really only training heavy loads. I was training a bit like a powerlifter at the start with the compound movements, which I did love and fell in love with.
Cool. All right. We want to hear about the dumbest stuff that you've actually applied. Now that you've gone through a lot of courses, a lot of experience with getting results with clients, what about diet yourself? I know with myself, I've done 1 meal a day, did the juice cleanse, which was only basically
Wasn't
last year.
Wasn't that long ago.
Yep. So what about yourself?
To be honest, I haven't, in terms of nutrition, I don't think I've really had any crazy fad diet phases.
Okay.
I haven't. I think
fair enough.
The biggest thing for me would have just been learning nutrition altogether and like incorporating protein into my diet. I haven't necessarily done any fad diets, but I just have learnt how to do things better, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So with your nutrition then, what are some core principles that you always do?
My non-negotiables, day to day.
Non-negotiables, after learning the stuff that you've learned.
Protein, it's a massive one. I always try and hit minimum like 130 grams per day. I'm probably sitting between that 130 to 150 mark. So
is that 1.1.5 grams times your body weight, or is that 2 times your body weight?
That'd be probably like 2 times body weight.
Okay. Because people here listening, they're probably, I should have 1.2, 1.5, 2. You can comfortably eat.
I can comfortably eat, 2 grams per kilo body weight. Yeah.
For me, that's quite a fair bit, the 2 times. I think for me, it's about 180 to 200 grams. What's your strategy in how to get that in throughout the day, especially if you're a coach or a trainer and on your feet quite a fair bit?
Big one is just having a big chunk of protein as soon as you wake up in the morning or whenever you have breakfast. I try and aim for like 25 to 30 grams minimum.
Yeah.
I think it definitely helps as well because I am up early. So I probably eat more during the day than maybe other people. They might sleep in for a lot longer and their meal timings might be different than mine, but I'm probably having 4 decent meals throughout the day, which definitely makes it easier to load up on the protein.
Okay. And what do those meals look like, Holly?
So breakfast is always either protein oats or wheat bix with protein yogurt, peanut butter, honey, berries, that type of thing. It's usually always when I'm at work, so it's easy to prepare the night before and just have it here in the mornings on my break. If I'm at home, it might just be oats probably again, but like a hot warm bowl, and then scrambled eggs and toast and avocado or something like that.
Okay.
Lunch is usually always chicken salad or chili con carne, leftover dinners that we might have the night before, but I try to keep it pretty low carb during lunch. And afternoon snack, protein smoothie, protein shake, something along those lines.
Yeah.
And then dinner's always usually just protein with veggies or a salad or something, which always bumps the protein up pretty high for dinner time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a lot of like solid food there. There you go. Especially with the women that are listening, you can eat a lot of food.
Yeah, I'm a pretty big eater.
Yeah, but then again, with your training as well.
Yeah, it fuels your training sessions.
Fuels your training sessions. How often do you train a week at the moment?
I'm only doing 3 strength days at the moment. I'm trying to do 2
lazy
running sessions in there as well and keep my steps up high. So
yeah, okay. And how many steps do you average?
10 to 12.
10 to 12. Okay, so there you go. It's not like she's doing
Not
15.
a ridiculous amount, no.
Not a ridiculous amount. Yeah. And then I think on Fridays, you and your partner, Andy, you guys normally have a free meal of some sort.
Yeah,
right?
we usually get takeaway or go out for dinner or something along those lines.
Mm.
We'll get frozen yogurt.
Yeah, cool. All right. And Holly, I want your opinion on this. There's so much advice out there on Instagram, social media. I'm sure your friends would probably be asking you some fitness tips as well. What do you think are some of the common myths or people are getting lied to about their nutrition and their training or their health?
I think a big one would just be following workouts off social media or Instagram from random fitness influencers or people who train, not necessarily people in the fitness space. And there's so much misinformation out there. They don't even know where to start or if they're doing things properly. So I think that's a massive one.
Yeah. I'm laughing because we post up workouts and that's one of the main things that we get a lot of followers, especially for Athletic Studio Live. So I guess if you're listening to this and the reason why you followed us was through one of those workout videos, is just know that they're more for like your ad hoc workout, right? So if you're not really, or you could be training for something, but let's say you're on a holiday and you're like, oh, I want to squeeze in a fun workout that isn't so structured towards my plan.
Which is fine. And there is videos out there which, you know, are fine. And it's good to get ideas and like exercise ideas from certain videos if you're not sure. But I think it can be very hard for people to tell the difference between what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah. So I guess with programming or just with following workouts, it's very important to have a structured workout throughout the week, and you got to do that consistently for 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, definitely.
You want to see that progressive overload.
Yeah.
And results. And from your experience, Holly, with getting results with clients, body composition, or with Sam achieving her fitness bottling medals, what do you think actually works for body composition results, but also for just general health and well-being?
So there's obviously a few things definitely that they should be focusing on. Number one, consistency is key. So staying consistent with your workouts, nutrition, steps, all of that. Another one would be training with intensity and intent. Know the why behind why you're doing things and not just moving the weights for the sake of moving them. Tempo, like not rushing. Exercises, like slowing things down and focusing on slower portions in the eccentric phase of a movement.
So more like the quality of the training.
Quality of the training,
so
sure.
when you're training clients or when you're training yourself, you're not really just, obviously if you're doing powerlifting, you're focusing on getting it from A to B, but the majority of the time, you're also focusing on muscle engagement.
Yes, exactly. Otherwise, what's the point of doing certain things?
Yeah, and then just making sure that the weight's heavy enough for the rep ranges.
Yeah, for sure. Not, going too easy.
How do you keep yourself accountable with your own training? So you're training at the right intensity, or how can others?
Tracking your workouts. So following a program, tracking your weights each week, sticking to the rep ranges, and then, like taking note of that and then hitting that or more that next session. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. That's a pretty good sell for the Athletic Studio Live app then, Holly. You've got everything there. Track your workouts, track your nutrition, get in contact with your coach, form check-ins.
Yep.
So I'm just going to throw that in there. And Holly, let's get into if someone's stuck in their fitness journey, maybe they've hit a plateau, could be for a number of reasons. They're on a weight loss journey and they've just hit a plateau. What would be the steps that you would take to help that person?
I think it's obviously going to be different for everyone, depending on the scenario, but whether that be, if they're not tracking their food already, they might need to take on tracking. It might also be they need to take a step back from training. Are they overworking themselves too much? Do they need to take a break and drop a day? They also might need to focus on some recovery work if they're not doing that in their day-to-day training. So
do you have any steps to assess that? Because if someone just goes, hey, Holly, I've hit a plateau, because I know that you work with a lot of online coaching clients as well. What are you asking them to find out, okay, what's this person's 1 or 2 things that I need to fix or help them get addressed to move them past that plateau?
I think with online and on the app that we track sessions in the studio with as well, we actually have a check-in form each week that clients check in with. We ask them how much sleep they're getting. They weigh themselves each day. There is a nutrition tracker on there. So we do have all of that information to go through.
Are you looking for regular patterns on what's the worst behaviors, or?
It depends on client to client. And if you know the client, I think where to look for.
Yeah. Okay.
Sleep is a massive one for a lot of people in the studio as well. Like a lot of the people I train are parents. They work busy jobs in the city. So their sleep's probably averaging 5 hours a night, and that's definitely a big one.
Yeah, and that can impact their scale weights.
Yeah, everything.
The appetite,
Yep.
energy levels when they're training.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. And Holly, with your own philosophy of training, what do you like to do with your training at the moment?
At the moment, I'm training in a bit of a hypertrophy phase, focusing on not so much on strength, probably a bit more on aesthetics. I'm trying to focus on my shoulders, rear delts, which Gordon's told me needs some work, and my hamstrings as well.
Yeah, okay. So it sounds like you're pretty much preparing to do a comp, Holly, maybe in the future.
I'm just, we'll see.
We'll see. There
You
you
never
go.
know, but you need to be prepared.
You always got to be.
So.
You always got to be prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. All right, guys, we'll wrap up today's episode is to introduce Holly, and we're going to have her on the podcast definitely a lot more. In our next episode, we're actually going to go through Holly's exact programs and how she actually trained Sam to become Australia's fitness model champion. So yeah, anything else, Holly, for today?
No, I think that's everything. Thanks for having me, Gordon.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Bye.
All right, that's a wrap for today's episode. Hopefully you got something valuable that you can actually apply to your training and nutrition.
And if you did, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Athletic Studio Live to stay updated. We're always dropping tips, behind the scenes, and real coaching advice.
And don't forget, like, subscribe, and follow the podcast so you never miss an episode. The Athletic Studio Live app is coming real soon, so keep an eye out.
All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Train smart, eat well, and we'll catch you soon.
Let's go.